What up, cucks? It's time for another random video up in this bitch. You understand me? Before we start, as usual, it's time to do some of them subscriber shoutouts. You know what I'm saying? What do we got here? Who's new? Who's new? Where's my list? Dickie Mo. I feel like I mentioned him in the other one. But if I didn't, Dickie Mo is new. And we got my boy Jinder Mahal fan club up in this. And Juan Unda. Cool. All right, welcome, motherfuckers. Another little reminder for any of you that missed the other video. Yeah, you understand me? Question and answer Rant Apocalypto is in the house. So I suggest you go watch that 3 or 4 minute video, wherever it was, and leave your questions and rant ideas on the bottom over there. Or you can leave them in this video as well. I will be compiling the list soon, motherfuckers. But we're not doing it until I get 250 subscribers. Even though I got a couple of new ones today, I think a couple of you unsubscribed. So for those of you that unsubscribed, you can go fuck yourselves. How about that? How do you like them apples? So anyways, let's get the topic at hand here, you know. The very important and contentious ratings war. The Wednesday night war, my fucks, between WWE NXT and AEW. You know what I mean? So let's kind of look at it. Last week, it looks like they tied at 778,000 viewers for both shows. But this week, motherfuckers, things changed a bit. AEW's season finale drew about 683,000. So, in other words, they lost almost 100,000 viewers. You understand me? Whereas NXT grew to 795,000 viewers. Now, let me make one thing clear. All right, this last episode of what's it called, Dynamite, was actually not that bad compared to the other ones. You know, I mean, common sense dictates, right, that something performs better than the thing that was good. Right? So let's take this analogy and put it into music, right? Let's take Eminem. Remember him, motherfuckers? Remember when he was a good rapper, right? In like 2000 or 99 or whatever, Eminem released the Marshall Mathers LP, motherfuckers. And in this LP was highly lauded, right? Lauded, I should say. It was very critically praised. A lot of people like it. It pretty much put Eminem on the map, right? He had that song with Dr. Dre, but this is what put him on the map. But the album itself didn't sell that well because Eminem was still like a relatively new commodity. You know what I mean? He wasn't like super mainstream yet. That album made him mainstream. So then a few years later, the vastly inferior Eminem show did way better, right? And because the Eminem show as an album was all right, but it wasn't as good as Marshall Mathers' LP, in my opinion, and the opinion of many, right? The next Eminem album did poorly, right? Like worse than both of them. Now, that's how trends work, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying that like last week's episode was better for everybody. I just happened to enjoy it a bit more. So I expect them to have a higher viewership rate next week than this week, right? Because 2 weeks ago, the episode was complete shit. So people were like, I'm not watching that shit. It was stupid, right? But now maybe a few of them are like, oh, I didn't watch it, but I heard some good things happen, let's say, right? Oh, this sounds interesting. I mean, you know, but a lot of people didn't like it as well, right? A lot of people didn't like it. So they explain it as like the ratings are shit because the show was shit, which is not necessarily completely false. Don't get me wrong, right? Like it wasn't like a great show or anything. It was just better than usual. Now, that being said, NXT keeps climbing up. Another thing of note, of course, is that NXT, for the first time ever, won the quote-unquote key demographic, motherfuckers. This is the most ridiculous thing ever. I'm glad they won this demographic, just because now we don't have to hear about how it's a key demographic anymore. It doesn't matter, man. All that matters is how many people you get to watch you, right? Certain people aren't better than others. You know what I mean? So there you go. Meanwhile, a show like Survivor, that's been around for 40 seasons almost, motherfuckers, got like millions of viewers, you know what I mean? So this kind of puts into perspective how popular wrestling is. Not very popular. And the facts are what they are. Even if the episode is shit, the downward trend of AEW proves what I've been saying all along, that AEW is on the way to failure. I remember back in the day when TNA started losing like a lot of ground, right? It was a huge deal when TNA drew fewer than 1 million people. You know, it's a huge deal. People are like, TNA's done, it's over, sell them immediately, right? AEW, which is new, is doing worse than TNA did like back then. You know what I mean? At this rate, and they're not gonna have an episode next week. So actually, never mind. I think the first episode of January is gonna be shit, man. It's gonna have even less than 680,000 because. Let's be real. People they're gonna cool down. They're gonna be like, all right, this bullshit is like over. They're gonna watch NXT. NXT is gonna dominate, obviously, next week, and the facts will continue to elude these idiots, these smarks, right? The goddamn smarks, man. The ones that are ruining everything. You know, they just keep. Oh, doesn't like. What's the next excuse gonna be? They lost by almost 100,000 viewers. They lost the quote unquote key demographic. What's next, man? I mean, they might as well just say it like it is. AEW attracted more of the neckbeard demographic. You know, more neckbeards were able to watch AEW than NXT, right? Maybe the virgin demographic is the one that is attracted to AEW Dynamite. Maybe that's what's gonna happen. You probably in a couple of months, you're gonna see the ads in what's it called? AEW Dynamite, like the commercials being like for pickup artists, maybe for like fleshlights, you know, all the things that a virgin and a neckbeard would buy. A lot of anime things are probably going to be advertised. Maybe some My Little Pony crossover is going to happen. You know what I mean? You got to keep your loyal neckbeard demographic in there, right? And they're not going to buy things like razors, right? You're not going to see a razor ad. They got neckbeards, motherfuckers. So there you go. You know, that's what I have to say about that. Now on to the second part of this. Why TNA? Why AEW still fucking sucks, motherfuckers? The revised edition, the mini edition. Not to be confused with the soon-to-come 25 Reasons Why AEW Sucks reboot version up in this bitch. You understand me? So the little, like, revised mini version of this is this, right? Why AEW still sucks. Number one, AEW still sucks because even though last week's episode was supposed to be this pay-per-view, like, payoff type thing, nothing actually happened, right? Like, aside from the Dark Order thing, which I will stand by and say it was a good segment, all things considered, of course, right? Other than that, nothing really happened. And when we analyzed that segment, right, a lot of people were like, oh, like, it's not good that these jobbers are beating up, like, the stars. And I'm like, dude, there was like 20 jobbers. It makes perfect sense. It's like nobody said that when Nexus started attacking like John Cena and stuff, right? They were supposed to all be jobbers. But there's like 1 million of them. So that's kind of the idea, right? Like, it's just war of attrition. So despite that, though, the facts are what they are, you know? Like, the segment, even though I personally enjoyed it, there's some truth to it being a complete shit show because what the fuck? All of a sudden, like, these two jobbers, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, are now like supposed to be like noteworthy. You know, it's like, oh, that's John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Oh, is it? Is it really? Like, anyone gives a fuck about those guys, right? You know? So even though the segment was good, it shouldn't be the main event. You know, again, I stand by the fact that this was presented as like a pay-per-view worthy show. And if you're going to present something as pay-per-view worthy, then you have to have some sort of like payoff, right? Maybe a turn, maybe anything like that, right? But still, like, Wardlow hasn't competed, Jack Swagger hasn't competed, and these are all reasons why AEW stinks. You know, instead we see like a decent match, I guess, between CodyRhodes and Darby Allin versus Butch and Bottom, just to bury them completely. Like, they came in as if they were this like hot shit tag team, but all they did was attack Cody and then beat him when he teamed with QT Marshall. Who gives a fuck about QT Marshall, right? They pinned QT Marshall. And then CodyRhodes was able to get his revenge in 2 weeks. You know, what kind of like booking is that, man? You have to have it make sense. Like, at least when CodyRhodes was attacked by Tyedillenger, they tried to make it seem like a big deal, you know? Like, there was actually a payoff. It was like, oh, I hate you, Cody. I hate you too. Oh, look, I have a new manager. And then like Cody turned him into a jobber, you know? So that's the fundamental reason why AEW sucks. It's because their booking, motherfuckers, their booking is garbage. Like, you take a guy who's 0-7 called Jungle Boy, and by the way, I was on Wrestling Forum just to look at some smarkish shit, right? And one of the people were like, oh, isn't it weird that they're humanizing Jungle Boy? Isn't his character supposed to be that he was raised in the jungle? I didn't even know that was like part of why he was called Jungle Boy. I thought he was called Jungle Boy because he has like weird hair and like a wild, erratic wrestling style. Apparently, this is all some sort of gimmick where like he's supposed to be like a wild child raised in the jungle, and then somewhere in this jungle he found a dude called Luchasaurus. Right? This is like the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. So of course they had to like retcon this and just turn him into what he is. You know, like Luke Perry's son. A lot of people are like, Luke Perry's son is big money. No, it isn't, motherfuckers. A lot of people apparently knew who Luke Perry was. I had no fucking clue who Luke Perry was, man. I told one of my friends, he's like, oh, he was in Riverdale. And I'm like, what the fuck is Riverdale? He's like, oh, it's like Archie, whatever, the Archie comics, but like made for adults. And it's like dark and edgy. And I'm like, that sounds like fucking the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So if you didn't watch that, you might not even know who Luke Perry is. So like if he was the son of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, it'd be like, all right, there's big money in that. He's the son of Arnold. He's not the son of some loser. I mean, you know, rest in peace, I guess. I don't have anything against Luke Perry, but he's not this like big time Hollywood actor. You know what I mean? And Jungle Boy himself, like, I mean, I gotta give it to him. Like in this roster, he stands out more than other people, but he's treated like a jobber. He's a 0-7 jabron. You know, and he's out there wrestling Jericho in a 10-minute match that ends up in a draw. Again, if this was considered a pay-per-view event worthy match because it involves the champion and it's for the title, why would you end it on a countout, man? Or like whatever, on a draw, whatever the fuck it went down as, you know? That doesn't make any sense. And like, furthermore, if Jungle Boy has a title shot, Jericho just places this stipulation. This is another reason why booking is stupid. Jericho places this other stipulation on him, like, you can't last 10 minutes. Right? The only thing that would make sense is if you last 10 minutes, you get the title. And then Jericho beats him in like 9.5 minutes or something, right? Kind of like Kurt Angle's like, whatever, 3-minute like medal challenge, you know, where if you could last 3 minutes with Kurt Angle, you effectively win the match and you take his damn medals, you know? In this case, it's like, if you don't last 10 minutes, or the only thing, like, if you accomplish the task of lasting 10 minutes, the only thing you do is lose your title shot. And the match just ends. Well, you lasted 10 minutes, but there goes your opportunity to become champion. This is like so asinine. Whoever's in charge of booking there should be fired immediately. He's a complete idiot, man. If they don't understand anything like about wrestling and they don't understand what draws. Furthermore, you push the Young Bucks to become number one contenders and they just lose to SCU. Like, is SCU really that good to the point where they should have this, what has now turned into like a relatively lengthy title reign? When you have all these other tag teams that are being developed much more and being pushed much more? No, fam. It's just bad booking. Rio was nowhere to be seen. I mean, she was in the crowd. It's like she's watching, oh, Statlander won. That's my next challenger. Let me guess. Rio is going to beat her with a roll-up after Brandy distracts Statlander. That's exactly what's going to happen. This is so predictable. It's so fucking stupid that, like, you can't just, like, sit there and take it. And this is why, to tie it back to the first point, cucks, this is why they've lost the ratings battle finally by a significant margin, and they've lost that bullshit demographic that DaveMeltzer and that other cuckold keep talking about. You know what I mean? The facts are what they are. Things are moving too fast for AEW. There are better things out there. You know, I've never been this huge New Japan fan, but I'm going to have to, like, somehow watch Wrestle Kingdom both nights because it sounds fucking awesome. You know what I mean? You have like they understand like what sells, right? Like big matches and high stakes sell. Hey, for those that don't know, the the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 14 or 15 or whatever the fuck it is, right? Like they're doing a 2-night event for the first time. It's like that WrestleMania basically, right? And on the first night they have like 2 matches involving the 2 main champions, the World Champion and the Intercontinental Champion, right? And the winners of those 2 matches will then wrestle the next day against each other to determine like the ultimate champion, to determine the guy that has both now the world and the Intercontinental title. Motherfuckers, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is, even if you didn't care at all, right? It feels like a big deal. Like, people are going to wrestle 2 nights in a row to establish essentially the by far most dominant champion in that company. So I'd rather watch that than Jungle Boy and Jericho in a 10-minute match. You understand what I'm saying? Jungle Boy, a fucking nerd loser. You know what I mean? Like, I unfortunately, his father passed away, and that's a tragedy because Jungle Boy is a young man, you know, which means that his father was probably relatively young. I don't know Luke Perry, and I said like he's a loser, but I shouldn't have said that. Like I don't know anything about him. Maybe he was a great actor, right? The point is, enough of this. Like he's the son of this person, he's the son of that person. Why should I care about Jungle Boy? Apparently because he's supposed to be this wild child from the jungle. Like get the fuck out of here, man. Like create some good ideas and create good booking. You have the Butcher and the Blade. How about explain to me what their purpose is? Oh, MJF like bankrolled them. Bankrolled them for what? Why didn't he just pay Wardlow some money to beat up Cody Rhodes? You have to pay these two jobbers to do it. It doesn't make any sense. And then like they said in last week's episode, I forgot to mention this in my review, but they said they're like when Allie had her hair cut, like she turned into the bunny. She had like a psychic shift or some bullshit like that. Are you fucking kidding me? She like they cut like a little bit of her hair and this made her think that she should be dressed as a bunny? I mean, how ridiculous is that, man? That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So it's this kind of like poor booking that has led to this. Furthermore, if she's the bunny, you should have her wrestle as the bunny to establish the difference between the bunny and Allie as characters. It can't just be the way you look, man. They're falling under the Sasha Banks problem. I remember I read this article. It was the dumbest shit ever. It's like written by some smart beard nerd, right? He was like, Sasha Banks' hair change was an effective way to change her character. What? Are you fucking retarded? She was wearing two wigs that look ridiculous. She takes off one wig that's pink and the other wig is blue. Oh my God. Like what's going on in Sasha's mind? What a lunatic she is for having a different wig on. Are you fucking insane? How about a real character change? Like one of my favorites, Hurricane Helms becoming Gregory Helms. Da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? That was a legitimate change. Or like straight up, like any kind of change like that, like Kane taking off his mask, right? I mean, he was like a reinvigorated monster, but he became more sadistic, and like now you could see his face, and it was like he had facial expressions, all these other things, or like even something like significant heel turns, like Rikishi going from dancing goof to like I did it for The Rock, and like guy will run you over, like merciless motherfucker. Like these are legit character changes. The right to censor, that was their entire shtick. It was like this idiot goof, Steven Richards, now becomes like this holier than thou censorship guy. Not only that, but then he starts recruiting people like Godfather and Val Venus, two over-the-top, like very lewd characters who had seen the error of their ways, and they changed into completely different characters. Or JBL, a completely different thing, right? Or even John Cena, like going from like Dr. Thugonomics to like, like Superman type guy, right? Like it's these character changes that when you start making them, you have to follow through, man. You have to explain to me what the difference between Allie and the bunny is. The difference cannot be she wears a mask, just like Sasha Banks wears a different wig. That's fucking stupid, man. Like anyone that thinks this is cool is retarded. Like they're not smart. They're just dumb people who just accept everything. Yeah, these two balding guys, Butcher and Blade, like one of the worst like tag names ever, right? It's just the dumbest thing ever. Like they could have had their actual names, like whatever, like Jimmy Smith and like whatever fucking Pepper Parks, Braxton Sutter, whatever he calls himself, right? And together they could be the Butcher and the Blade, right? Or it could be like Braxton the Blade Sutter or something like that. You think these things through, man. What is the ceiling for someone named the Blade? Is the Blade ever going to be AEW champion? I mean, anything's possible, I guess. But no, of course not. Like, they would have to have some sort of character change. And if you have no desire to put forward the effort that it takes to make compelling things, right? Let's be real. The guy from Dark Order, his name is Evil Uno. What the fuck? That Evil Uno? Why is it Evil Uno? Is he like Hispanic? I don't think so. He's a white dude. So why is he Evil Uno? Just be, you can't be evil, I guess, but you can be like Evil One would be better than Evil Uno. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson? Stu? Like, even Stewart would be bad, but Stu? Like, this guy's name is Stu Grayson, and he's supposed to be this, like, evil type, like, cult guy, right? How about give him a cult-like name? Like, Aleister Black, for example, has a name that fits his supposed gimmick, you know what I mean? He should have a name like Aleister Black, not Stu Grayson. I mean, what's next? Bob Smith? Oh my God, here's Bob Smith from the Dark Order. Are you fucking insane? These things make no sense. Clearly, the Elite, those 4 nerds, all they're doing is promoting themselves. I was afraid of this. I thought it wasn't going to happen like for a while because they weren't doing it. But now they're just promoting themselves. People like don't even get an entrance. Like everyone's entrance is the same. They just come out to the ring. They do like a few mannerisms with their shitty generic music, right? The only people that have like actual production quality entrances are CodyRhodes, motherfuckers. And to a degree, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, especially when they have their little special entrances. Like all this is a project for CodyRhodes. They're a bunch of children who are like, I've always wanted to run my own wrestling company. And now they realize that they don't know shit about that. It's only a matter of time before TNT drops this failure of a show on the relatively coveted Wednesday night slot. Like I said, shows like Survivor, drawing millions of people, right? Like, you can't have a show on a major network draw 600,000, man. And that's like 600,000 when it's a new show. Like, this is, and people are like, oh, TNA shouldn't have relied on like Kevin Nash. They had to rely on Kevin Nash because you sign Kevin Nash, the viewership goes up by a few 100,000, right? You can't survive with a show based around Darby Allin and CodyRhodes. Nobody wants to see that, man. Nobody gave a fuck when CodyRhodes was in WWE. Nobody was like, oh, CodyRhodes is the best. There was a moment where they're like, oh, this kid's underrated. And maybe that was true for an extent. But let's be real. The reason, if you don't get pushed in WWE, it's very simple. You are not really over. If you are over, you will certainly get pushed. And I don't mean over like the neckbeards chant your name. I mean over economically. Like you're selling shirts, right? Like Rey Mysterio, he's always been over. People always loved Rey Mysterio. No matter who you are, you loved Rey Mysterio back in the day. So you bought his shirts, you bought his mask. Rey Mysterio was smart enough to understand that, like, if when he makes his entrance, he goes and touches heads with the kids, and he gives one of the kids his mask, this incentivizes parents to buy masks for their children. You know, even if you're sitting in the cheap seats, you can't be like, I want a Rey Mysterio mask, Dad, because, like, you know, Rey Mysterio might touch my head, even though he's not going to go all the way up there. But you understand what I'm saying? It incentivizes like a culture around the character, right? What wrestler? I don't even think, do they even have t-shirts? They have like a cowboy shit t-shirt. Like they thought they made up a catchphrase. You know, no one's gonna buy that, man. People are gonna chant it because they're beards and they'll chant anything. But no one's gonna buy a t-shirt that says cowboy shit. Doesn't even mean anything. Oh, I'm gonna do some cowboy shit. Are you? Because you wrestle exactly like Kip Sabian, whose gimmick is completely different than yours. I mean, not really. Their gimmicks are both jobbers, but you understand what I'm saying, right? AEW disappoints me time and time again. You know, this episode, I think, was moving towards the right track only because there's a storyline now with Dark Order. But knowing TNA, knowing AEW, they're going to drop the ball. Next week, it's going to be the same thing. Like, it's going to be Dark Order attacks another team, right? Or Dark Order just has a match. Instead of having like I don't know, maybe an opening segment, like the lights go out, right? Evil Uno is sitting on like a human throne, right? The lights come on, and that's the first thing you see. Like the show starts, lights are off, lights come on, and he's just sitting there, right? Wearing a suit. And he's like, the Dark Order is here to stay. He says something generic, right? And then a face comes out and tries to challenge them. And then they do something interesting with that face. Like, let's say the face is not Joe Janela, but someone of that like level, right? They just whoop his ass and they like put a mask on him and they kidnap him and he's not seen for weeks. And then he joins them too. Just like Right to Censor did it, right? But no, they're not going to follow through with it because it's not a serious thing. It just isn't, right? And if they do follow through with them, if people like CodyRhodes and Kenny Omega want to get revenge, they're going to beat the Dark Order. They're going to beat the jobber team of Alex Reynolds and John, whatever the fuck his name is, right? John Silver. And they're going to beat them. That's a burial. Make up your minds. It's been 3 months. You have not created one star. You have not one person that's an AEW guy, that's not a WWE guy or a New Japan guy. Not one person has been created as a character. Not one, man. I can't even think of one motherfucker that they have that's like, all right, this kid's the future. Everyone's the future. Oh, Adam Page has got a bright future ahead of himself. Oh, Darby Allin, this kid's got a lot of great years ahead of him. Oh my God, Riho. Oh yeah, she could go down as one of the greats. Get the fuck out of here, man. Take someone that you can brand and you can market. Even someone like Nyla Rose, right? Just push the fact, like acknowledge the fact that she's a transsexual, and use that to kind of make a point, right? Be like, Nyla Rose, just have her go undefeated. Like, why is she not the champion? Like, if you're going to push her, which is what it looked like, make her the champion, or Awesome Kong. Make her the champion, have her go undefeated. Like, undefeated, man. You know? Take someone like Darby Allin, not Darby Allin, but I can't think of anybody else. There's no one else that's good, right? Someone who's not like a WWE guy, because all the ones with good records are WWE guys, which pretty much shows that AEW is a jobber fest, right? Take someone, like pick one, man. Pick a guy. It could have been Jungle Boy. It could have been Darby Allin. It could have been anybody. It could have even been like Adam Page or someone that's like not really like an ROH or New Japan guy. He's just a guy, right? You take that person and you push them to the moon. You have them wrestle every week, sometimes twice a week in like AEW Dark or something and on pay-per-views. And this person just beats people. He doesn't have competitive matches. He has 5-6 minute matches where he just destroys them, right? And at this point, at the end of the year, this person has a great record. Now, the reason you can't do this, of course, is because the stupid ass wins and losses matter, which I've already like pissed on. But if you do that, then the guy who has 12 wins in a row, he's gonna be like, well, wait a second, man, I got 12 wins in a row. Like, why don't I have a title shot? And then you have to put the belt on this idiot, right? What I'm saying is, get rid of the win-loss system, right? There's many ways you can do it through kayfabe, right? And then all you do is you pick one, man. Wardlow. Pick Wardlow, right? Disconnect him from fucking MJF, right? Or even MJF. MJF could have been that guy. He's had like 3 matches. MJF or someone that you're going to position as an AEW star, like a guy that will be associated with AEW. Like if Kenny Omega gets signed to NXT tomorrow, no one's going to be like, oh, the AEW like superstar. They're going to be like, oh, the guy that made his name in New Japan. Take MJF and have him win like 15 matches in a row. Do the same thing with a broad, right? And a tag team. Stop relying on the things that you think will work. Young Bucks and CodyRhodes will never be over enough to hold a company afloat. They will never be main eventers, man. The Young Bucks people are all best tag team of the decade. Why are they tag team of the decade? What have they done, man? They were in New Japan. A lot of people don't know this or they forget. But in New Japan, they were like the cruiserweight tag champs. You can call them what you want. Oh, the IWGP junior heavy, what the fuck? Who cares, right? But the point is, they were never the main tag champs. They were like the secondary cruiserweight tag champs. Right? They were the jobber tag team. You know? So tag team of the decade, my ass. And even in that role, they kept losing. They lost to like Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish a million times. They like eventually they wrestled in ROH. They lost to the Briscoe brothers, which are a real tag team. They're fucking awesome, right? They're not that good. You know, so like in terms of like kayfabe wise, they're athletic, they're entertaining to watch sometimes. But let's be real, man. These guys are not superstars. And that's the problem. The main problem is CodyRhodes, KennyOmega, and the Young Cucks are under the impression that they're these big stars that WWE missed the boat on. And this is fueled by the neckbeardery, right, of people being like, oh, Vince is mad that he wasn't able to sign Kenny Omega. Vince doesn't give a fuck about Kenny Omega. He's got Keith Lee, who's a million times better. Why the fuck would he care about Kenny Omega? He's got even Cameron Grimes. He's got like so many people that are either as good or better than him. You know, Damian Priest, even fucking Pete Dunne. And there's so many wrestlers, like even Adam Cole. Like, don't get it twisted. The fact that Adam Cole just went to NXT and people have forgotten about him. Adam Cole, for a long time, was the #1 indie guy, like the #1 indie prospect. You know? Then he went to Bullet Club, and because he's not from New Japan, he wasn't the leader of Bullet Club, right? And then he left because he got signed by WWE. But let's be real. If Bullet Club existed in another like place and Kenny Omega wasn't there first, Adam Cole would be the leader of that bullshit, right? And guess what, motherfuckers? If he was the leader of that, he would get the matches with Okada, and he also would have 8-star matches, right? People would be like, oh, Adam Cole's the best ever. Like, the amount of naivete that the neckbeards have, the amount of foolishness and sheepishness, the fact that you can be so easily manipulated is astounding to me, man. And the level of denial. You see the horrible booking. You see the bullshit everywhere. And you still continue, AEW's great, give him some time. No, motherfuckers, it's not great. They're losing 100,000 viewers, man. In 1 week, 100,000. That's what, like 1/7. What's 1/7? Like 15%, basically, right? Like a little bit less than like 14%. A little bit like 13 point something, right? Like, let's say 14. 14% of their viewers are leaving, man, in 1 week. They didn't give a fuck. Nobody gave a shit about them. Because at the end of the day, why would anyone be enticed by Jungle Boy, Dark Order, and fucking Kazarian couldn't draw in TNA. Why the fuck would he draw in AEW like 15 years later? Come on, man. Wake up, you motherfucks. Just wake up. And for all of you that have any questions and rant topics, just fucking post them here or in the Apocalypto video that I put before this one. So recognize that. I look forward to getting my 250 subscribers. If you haven't, subscribe today so we can get that question and answer going. Because some of these questions, I saw some of the questions in the video, and some of them, like there was one, this guy, I'm going to go find it real fast. Actually, no, I'm not going to find it, but whatever. He basically said, he was like, hey, can you rant about CM Punk not being like CM Punk? You know what I mean? Not the wrestler CM Punk, but the philosopher CM Punk. And I really want to rant about that one, motherfuckers. So that being said, go fuck yourselves and have a great weekend and a great holiday if I don't speak to you motherfucks until Christmas, which I probably will, but it is what it is. See you later, cucks!